When we think Black History Month, we often think names like Martin Luther King Jr. or Harriet Tubman. But what's just as important to Black history is acknowledging those making change today. From education and setting good examples to tackling gun violence and tracking down ancestors. You're about to meet some people with a passion for solving some common issues in the Black community. It's a crucial part of becoming a young man, tying a tie and his first shave. But not all young men have someone to show them the ropes. First, we introduce you to an organization that's helping them suit up. Our Max Massey has that story.
You gotta look good. Looking good is always the first impression.
Trey Cheney is 15 years old and a graduate of the Suit Up program.
It really taught me how to talk to people, how to interact with them, and also get a job. When I went for my interview, I nailed it. Came in there looking sharp, gave him a smile, looked him in the eye, and it's been a blessing.
And be appreciative of what God has given us.
Walter E. Perry Sr. is Suit Up's founder.
It's a community organization that started as getting suits for people that was coming in and out of jail, and for young kids that were entering the workforce. They needed clothes to go to work, and a lot of them just didn't have the basic necessities like socks, shoes, and a nice shirt.
It's a free 8-week course that has evolved since its start just a couple years ago.
We want to suit up the world.
These kids also learn how to tie a tie, dress to impress, and of course, the basics.
Some of these boys lack the basic know-how of bathing, putting on deodorant, ironing, and just folding clothes. And so we want to teach them the basics of what's going on in that program.
This class is more than just about looking good. It's also a form of leadership training. One mother I spoke to at the meeting said she wants kids here to have the same opportunity, the same advantages of other kids. Get a job, get off these streets, maybe even go to college.
And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your income. Bad behavior is bad behavior, and we all need somebody who can understand us, look at us and say, I know where you're coming from, but I know where you can go.
It looked good to me, you know what I'm saying?
As for Trey, he says he is now on a different, better path and encourages anyone who can to join in.
Y'all should really want to try this Suit Up program. I'm telling you, it's a life changing.
Max Massey, KSAT 12 News.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, losing a child, especially to a tragedy that could have been prevented. One San Antonio mother knows this pain all too well. It's why she started Gifts of Love from Above. The program works to rebuild the lives of children who lost a parent due to gun violence. The program's CEO sat down with our Stephanie Serna and shares her story.
If you haven't gone, and I'm not talking about a mother, a father, a brother, or uncle that has passed away, your child is what hurts the most.
Jacqueline Markin Adams lost her son, Dejon Harris, to gun violence. He was shot and killed in front of their home and in front of her other children back in December of 2015. Dejon left behind a daughter, Deanna, who is now 4 years old.
What do you remember about the balloon release?
We let the balloons go.
And when we let them go, what did we let them go for?
Daddy.
Kim Anderson, CEO of Gifts of Love from Above, has made it her life's mission to help children like Deanna and their families.
People don't think about things like that. When they take a life, they're not only taking that life, it affects the parent, the children, the siblings.
Kim says she knows how gun violence can tear a family apart because it happened to her too. In 2011, Kim lost her brother, Marcus Anderson. He was 35.
And when I saw how his children were grieving his loss, they missed their father so much. And the pain of losing my brother, you know, it just really made me feel that something needed to be done for these children.
And now through Gifts of Love from Above, Kim says she can honor her brother's memory by helping other families.
When I connect with them, it just brings a fullness to my heart. That emptiness of losing my brother, when I help these other families, it just makes me, it fills that hole a little bit.
Stephanie Serna, KSAT 12 News.
Reading is fundamental to the classroom, and it can be hard enough getting younger kids to read at home. Well, now imagine getting them to give up a Saturday morning. Well, for the last 12 years, one group of local black business owners has made it their mission to make reading fun for Eastside students. Tiffany Huertas introduces us to the program, writing itself in San Antonio's Black history.
Every week, students tackle 5 days of school, but once a month on a Saturday, kids kinder through 5th grade at one San Antonio ISD school take on an extra day of learning. The Read and Lead program at Cameron Elementary on the east side is a field trip-based program. Melinda Jackson is part of the organization Sisters in Business and one of the volunteers that takes students out into the community to read to adults and put their skills to use in everyday life.
It was to help to build their confidence in reading, sharing with others, just public speaking, just getting them more familiar with being out and not being afraid, just coming out of their normal environment. Exposure, really. Sisters in Business is a powerful business resource for African American women coast to coast. They coordinate and fund visits to places like the Museum, Morgan's Wonderland, and the Carver Community Center, to name a few. Founder Laura Thompson and her fellow sisters in business here in San Antonio first visited Cameron Elementary for a reading cafe, and from there, Read and Lead was born.
It's an opportunity, for us to start at the ground floor to help develop and make more productive citizens, because if you can read, you can lead.
Petra Brewer is the PTA president and a proud parent who advocates for the inner city program.
My son is new to Cameron, so this is new to us. But he had a lot of problems reading in the past. So it's very emotional to me. So he has learned a lot.
The program's volunteers, teachers, and parents say the unique environment and hands-on learning not only helps their kids' reading skills, but also their behavior at home and in the classroom.
If you want to learn about what shaped San Antonio, most of us go down to the Alamo or Institute for Texan Cultures. But according to one group of researchers, the city is missing one big piece of the puzzle. One man has discovered the untold history of African Americans in San Antonio. Now, he's working on a place to put it all.
I'm sure you may have heard of the Tuskegee Airmen from Tuskegee, Alabama. Well, the pilots were trained there in Alabama. The mechanics were trained here in San Antonio at Kelly Field.
As our city celebrates its 300th year in history, a community of people are working to bring the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum to life, or SAAACAM for short. Melanie Brooks has been tracking her family tree for decades.
Just got him, some of the cousins, my mom together, and we just began to share our history with Everett, and he just took the information and ran with it, and it's all mushroomed into what we have now, the San Antonio African American Community Museum.
She recently connected with historic preservation expert Everett Fly, who has been unraveling San Antonio's Black history piece by piece. From forgotten cemeteries to farm brands and even famous fiddlers like Brooks's great-great-grandfather.
So you see we're taking these pieces, newspaper articles, historic maps, photographs, and kind of repiecing or recreating or reconstructing. It was turning out to be a tremendous African American history that San Antonio has not given proper respect to.
SAAACAM will not be your traditional museum. Vice President Wayman Griffin says most of the findings will be digitized and uploaded into the database full of history. The community will be able to access all of it with a click of a mouse from anywhere.
I think it is a great teaching mechanism, a great tool to empower them, because when they realize that they came from noblemen and kings and queens and inventors and all of these people, and I think it gives them a sense of belonging.
You heard Mr. Fly mention the Tuskegee Airmen. Well, in 2018, one of them, Major James Johnson Kelly, died at age 90. He called San Antonio home for decades. After his death, his family wanted to make sure that everyone in the Alamo City knew about his contributions and the legacy he leaves behind.
That he raised me, and I never, ever wanted for nothing. He gave me everything I wanted. And my siblings.
Eva Jones wells up with tears when talking about Major James Johnson Kelly, a man she's known as Dad ever since he married her mother decades ago.
If I needed help with anything, if I had questions about things that's bothering me, he was there.
Jones says Kelly not only dedicated his life to his family, but also our country, risking it to fight in World War II as a Tuskegee Airman.
He had that emblem on his car and said, I am a commissioned officer, you have to salute me. And I said, Dad, please don't do that. That's so embarrassing. He said, well, baby, I'm proud.
The Tuskegee Airmen were mostly African American. In World War II, they broke through barriers, flying and maintaining aircraft during combat, a role local landscape architect Everett Fly, who studies historic preservation, says was pertinent to the outcome of the war.
It's really important for young people to know that and know that people ahead of them laid the groundwork.
Though Kelly was born in High Point, North Carolina, years after the war, his family says he made San Antonio home, becoming a history professor at Our Lady of the Lake University and a city commissioner. Even though he passed away on Saturday, his legacy lives on.
He gave advice to kids in the neighborhood, tell them how to succeed, but most important, he always said, if you don't do anything, go into the military.
Major Kelly was buried with honors at Fort Sam Houston. People like him rarely realize that they are making history in that moment, much like the trailblazers you saw today. If you know someone who is making a difference in the Black community, we want to hear from you. Head over to our website, ksat.com, to tell us about them. Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.